Hello, bike shop friends. Gregor is here, and as many of you know, the U of Q Frostbike Business Summit is just around the bend, and I thought it might be fun for you to meet the speakers leading up to the event. My first interview is with Mr. Tobie Depauw of Stewardship Retail, and don't mind the construction sounds in the background. That was my fault. Thanks for watching. So, Tobie, are you with us?
I thought you were gonna do the whole. Hey, Gregor,
I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that before.
So,
Tobie, thanks so much for joining us. I wanted you to take a second to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about how you fit into the bike industry.
yeah, my name is Tobie Depauw. I started out as a retailer in 2004 and ran a shop in Illinois until 2015. At that point, I transitioned to help a startup called Black River create a new app that is now called RideSpot.
Right.
So my full-time job is with People for Bikes, working on the RideSpot platform, working with retailers all over the country to share routes, host events, engage their communities that way.
That's super cool. And Tobie has been in and around the bike industry forever in so many capacities. I'm pumped to have him here. I think you skipped one thing, though, like Mordecai book building. Can you hear that?
Yeah.
And aren't you a bookbinder?
Yes, yeah. I have a side business called Mordecai Book Building, which is super weird, but I do book repair, small run printing, and some letterpress projects as well.
Nice. In regard to stewardship retail, I'm sure there's several people who are watching this who are not exactly sure what stewardship retail is. So can you give us a little bit of context or maybe a story about stewardship retail, kind of like that light bulb moment where you knew you had something really special?
You bet. It was really organic how it started. We were into niche categories, and so we were a destination for stuff that people couldn't find in a lot of places. And so we had people coming to our store, and we knew that was our chance because they weren't going to drive 2 more hours to come back again. And so we had this idea that we have to make the most of every situation. And we also had this ethos of genuinely caring for people and wanting to build healthy communities. So we wanted to treat people with respect and dignity. And so those two things kind of like organically produce this ethos of we want to make sure when someone walks in the door, they feel comfortable, they feel taken care of, that we meet their needs even before they know them. So the whole thing was based on realizing we were having so many of these conversations again and again and again. And like we knew what customers were going to say before they say it, which everyone watching this knows that feeling. So why not volunteer that information? Stewardship, the idea of being a steward, comes from just the idea that we're all stewards of the cycling experience, not just when they're in the store, but what can we do when they're in the store to prepare them for the journey they're about to have? So weaving in that ethos in our practices, in our communications, in our marketing. So that's how it all kind of started to coalesce.
Yeah, as I think about stewardship retail as a concept, what I really like about it is I think many of us sort of already intuitively understand or at least have experienced good stewardship retail. I think the place where a lot of us can really thrive and grow is you understand it already intuitively, but however, there's this moment of inflection where when you start to apply like intentionality to how you're treating customers, you can really, I mean, that's really where the magic happens. When you take a moment to say, I'm really good at this, how do I double down on it? How do I go all in on being a good steward of my customer? I think there's a lot of power there. And then I think also stewardship retail is a really interesting connection to the business in terms of nuts and bolts, in that good stewardship retail will make your business better in ways that you will find like through the years. You'll find that numbers look better, sales are stronger, you're making more connections with more people. And I think stewardship retail is just like a really easy way to apply a common sense approach to growing a community, and I think we all want to do that.
Yeah.
So I just really love the idea.
Yeah, thank you. That's encouraging. You said a number of things I want to hit on. The first thing being the intentionality piece. One of the pieces about this is that, like, I'll admit, a lot of this is not new. I mean, like, deciding to treat your customers with dignity is not a new idea. And so I'm not introducing it as something foreign. I'm more just taking bits and pieces that will allow us to then put a practice behind it. That's where that intentionality comes in. What processes can we put in place so that when someone comes into the store, they feel taken care of?
Right. Well, that's a perfect
just
segue.
Putting a name on it.
When I think about things that stores do in terms of a big push from management, Oftentimes it's like this top-down approach. This is how we're going to do things. But when I think about stewardship retail and I kind of ask myself, who needs to go to this webinar? I think that there are a lot of layers there. And can you touch on like how stewardship retail affects like each individual at a store?
Absolutely. I think it's ultimately everyone's goal to grow their business and have good customer experiences, build community. That's a shared common goal. And so some of these kind of nebulous ideas turned into practical applications can lead to that success. And that's something that we learned to our own surprise, that we just wanted to be nice, and surprise, our business improved. But how it's applied is different. And so the seminar could be really applicable to all the different positions in the shop. For example, if you're an owner or a manager, some of these things might strike you as structural. Or if you're a salesperson, you might come out of the seminar with the idea like, oh, that's a good idea. I think I'm going to apply this in how I talk to customers or how I, walk customers through a sale. Even like a service writer or a mechanic could take some of these concepts and say, I could do my customer a great service if I just anticipate what they're going to need. I volunteer my expertise. They're going to feel taken care of. That's going to create a better experience. They're going to have good service experience, and we're going to maintain that customer for years to come.
I love that. It's not new, like you mentioned, but it's such a holistic way to look at retail as a community engagement project. And that to me is just super powerful. I think that's the future of retail. I think that's just really important. So thanks for sharing that. But before you go, will you tell us a little bit about when we can see your seminar?
You bet. My first showing is at 9 a.m. on the 18th of February. So the second day of Frostbite, the first day of webinars. And then the second airing is at 1:15 p.m. on the 19th.
Oh, and if you're looking, it's www.frostbike.vfairs.com. You can find the schedule and all of the information and register if you're a bicycle retailer on www.frostbike.vfairs.com. Link will be in my bio. Also, tell us the best way to connect with you, Tobie, and learn more about stewardship retail and Mordecai and all of the fun things that you're up to.
The easiest way is to find me on Instagram at Tobie Depauw, just my name. You can find the links to Stewardship Retail and my Mordecai Instagram account there. StewardshipRetail.com and Mordecai Books are also two websites you can look up, but easiest way is just to go at Tobie Depauw on Instagram.